Welcome to the HuntFishTravel podcast, the first and longest running female hosted hunting podcast. If your idea of heaven is cold air, darkest nights, warm campfires, and a sleeping bag, you've come to the right place, because she's ready to help you navigate your trip of a lifetime. And now, here's your hostess, Carrie Zilka.
Welcome to the HuntFishTravel podcast. I am your hostess, Carrie Zilka. This week we're talking to Jon Collins from Wired Outdoors and Tooth and Claw TV about hunting coyotes in Kentucky. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. If you're crunched for time, I recommend Stitcher Radio. It has this nifty play at 2 times speed option. Super handy for when you want to listen to a 40-minute episode, but you only have a 20-minute drive to work. And don't forget to tell all your friends about the show. It means the world to me when you help get the word out. The easiest place to share it, as well as the show notes for this episode, can be found on the website huntfishtravel.net under the show tab, or the direct link is www.cz.net/EP142. Jon, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you, Carrie.
Let's jump right into it, because I know we kind of have a lot to cover, and I have a lot of questions for you. So.
All right. Well, I'll try my best to answer them.
So let's talk a little bit more about Kentucky. I love your accent, by the way. It's so fun.
Well, thank you.
Tell us, are you originally from Kentucky, or did you move there?
No, I've lived here my whole life. I actually lived in the same county my whole life.
Really?
Yeah, and I've traveled all over the place, and I always look forward to coming back home. I really enjoy Kentucky. I don't see myself living anywhere else. So
that's awesome. So give me the elevator pitch of why I should consider it for my next trip, say to hunt coyotes.
Well, a lot of people don't really think of coyotes as their number one, animal to go after. Of course I do. But when a lot of people think about Kentucky, probably the biggest draw for Kentucky is our whitetail deer.
Yeah.
Kentucky has been in the top for Boone and Crockett entries for the last several years, and so, our deer herd's come a long way, killing a lot of deer and killing a lot of big deer. And the turkey hunting is phenomenal. I mean, it's a great state to come turkey hunting if you're looking for some hard gobbling eastern gobblers. It's
really?
A good place to come. Yes, it's terrific. I got guys that come down every year for Wired Outdoors. It's actually based out of Pennsylvania. And, of course, Pennsylvania has a ton of hunters. They got 1 million hunters up in Pennsylvania, and they love coming to Kentucky to turkey hunt, which the season opens up earlier here than it does up there, and they always look forward to coming to Kentucky for turkey season.
Really?
But, so the turkey hunting is great. Yeah. And then on top of that, we've got a great elk herd. We got a big elk herd here in eastern Kentucky. I think we've got a herd of over 10,000 elk now, and they usually I think it's a draw hunt. I think you usually draw like 1,000 tags, I think. I'm not sure what the bull to cow ratio is, but there's a lot of elk in Kentucky, and it's a pretty sought after tag.
I was going to mention the elk. I think for the last 4 or 5 years I've put in for the draw every year for the elk. Yeah. I haven't drawn yet, but you never know.
And I tell you what, I think I think over the next couple of years, it would not surprise me one bit to see the world record Boone and Crockett elk come out of Kentucky. Seems like they get bigger every year. Every year, it seems like, if not every year, every other year, they're breaking the state record. They've got some big elk, and I've already seen some trail camera pictures, and here's some elk spotted. It's going to be, some big animals. So
yeah, I think Kentucky's DNR does a phenomenal job, and your website, as a non-resident, your website's really, really user-friendly. Yeah,
the Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, they do a phenomenal job with all animals. It's not just the elk; it's with the deer. That's the reason we're, like I said, we're last several years been in the top for Boone and Crockett entries for whitetail deer. And like I said, when I was younger, when I was a kid in high school and stuff, I always wanted a turkey hunt, and there wasn't many turkey around. And, the population of turkeys from 20 years ago to now is just crazy how they exploded. And it's all got to do with the Kentucky Division of Fish and Wildlife. It's all on them. So,
do you guys have a higher predator population then? Obviously, with the food source growing larger, I would think that you would have more predators then.
We've got a lot of predators. We've got we've got coyotes, we've got gray fox, we've got red fox, we've got bobcats, we've got black bears. It's increasing the numbers now. And, we don't have as many coyotes as you would have in western states like, say Wyoming and up in the Dakotas and down in New Mexico and places like that. But for the east of the Mississippi, we do have quite a few predators, and they're statewide. You can find all those species minus the bear in every county in the state. So
interesting. Very cool. Is there a lot of public land to hunt in Kentucky, or is it mostly private? Like, I just did an interview with a gal about hunting bear in Maine, and I just assumed that most of Maine would be public. And she was like, no, it's mostly private. So I've learned not to assume anymore.
Yeah, it's mostly mostly private here. There's a lot of private land in Kentucky, but there's plenty of public land. Like if somebody was wanting to come down here and visit, hunt, I think just off the top of my head, and don't quote me on it, but it should be close to. I think there's well over 1.5 million acres or something like that of public land. I mean,
wow.
Daniel Boone National Forest, if you've ever heard of that, that's right here in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking it's like 700,000 acres just in that. Then we got land between the lakes. It's in between Barkley and Kentucky Lake, and I think it's like another 100,000 acres or something like that. So there's a lot of land here to hunt. If somebody wants to come in here and hunt, there's a lot of public land in eastern Kentucky. That's where all the elk are at. So, I mean, they're packed full of game. There's big deer comes off those places every year, and there's predator hunting opportunities. You can kill coyotes and bobcats out all those places. We've got plenty of, public land opportunities in Kentucky if somebody wants to come in and visit and hunt.
So when you're specifically going after coyotes, do you personally prefer like private or public? Which do you think is a little easier?
Well, probably private, especially like if you can get private land kind of sold up to yourself, if you don't have to worry about, if you're a turkey hunter, and I know a lot of people, if people's listening, they're turkey hunters, turkeys can get call shy real easy. If you got too many people fooling with them, somebody mess up on a turkey, they learn quick. Well, a coyote's even more so. If you mess up on a coyote once, you might not ever call him back in again, or it's going to take a pretty good, length of time in between you made your coyote stance where you can never call it up. So I really like hunting private land just on the aspect if I can get that place sold up just for myself and don't have to worry about other hunters, messing with them. Usually I have a pretty good chance of killing them. But, it's kind of a selfish way to look at it. At the same time,
right.
I want anybody that's interested in hunting, I hope they find places to hunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Do you guys have, I guess this is a two-part question because I'm always got deer on the brain. So your non-resident tags, can you purchase them over the counter, or is there a lottery system, or is it like certain states you can get the predator tags real easy, but you have to draw for the deer?
Yeah. No, I think our non-resident annual hunt license is like $140, I think.
Oh man.
And that's, a year license. And I think they also offer it's either a 5-day or a 7-day license. Like if you just want to come in for a week to do some hunting, I think it's $55.
Oh, nice.
So it's not too bad. And everything is over the counter. Like you'll buy your hunting license, and you'll have, like if you was deer hunting, you'd have to buy a deer permit. Or if you was turkey hunting, you have to buy a turkey permit. And they're all over the counter. You can buy them straight over the counter. There's no draw. Only thing there's a draw for that I think of right off the top of my head is the elk.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, that's nice. That's so nice, and that's really reasonable.
Yeah, it's not bad. I do a lot of western hunting, and elk tag cost you $600 out west.
Exactly.
And that's not even getting out there buying your license or nothing. Just you tag. Yeah. A lot of money, so it's not bad. You can come to Kentucky and get into some good hunting fairly cheap.
That's awesome. So what other states have you hunted coyote in?
Well, I've hunted.
A favorite?
I have to say I like hunting in Kentucky an awful lot just because I know the land really well, and I've got hunted spots years after years. But I've hunted in several different states, and I've hunted in Wyoming, do a lot of hunting in Wyoming, do a lot of hunting in Oregon, usually the eastern part of Oregon. I've filmed hunts in Ohio and in Pennsylvania. But I'd say the top 3 states that I usually hunt are Kentucky, Wyoming, and Oregon for predators.
Interesting. That's quite the gamut.
yeah. I definitely do not care to travel to find some good hunting. If you got good hunting and you want me to come to your place with a good invitation, I'll probably be there.
Right. So do you use different tactics to hunt them? Because Oregon, Wyoming, they're completely different states from Kentucky. Do you use totally different tactics for hunting them?
Well, usually my main thing is I'm a coyote caller. I'm trying to call coyotes in. I use hand calls and electronic calls, both to lure in coyotes. Usually using sounds trying to mimic like a rabbit distress, cottontail sounds, jackrabbit, and even snowshoe hare distress sounds. But and coyotes, that's their meal. That's what they eat every day if they can. They love to eat a rabbit. And then if they hear a dying rabbit, they know what that sounds like. If they hear a dying rabbit, and if they're hungry and they're in earshot, they're probably gonna come to it. As long as the wind, you got your wind and all that type stuff, they're going to come to the call. And, bird distress sounds like woodpecker distress or your game bird distress sounds, they're very effective. Coyote vocals, and when I say coyote vocals, like howls and distress sounds from a coyote, like a pup distress or adult distress, they work really well. So that's usually what I'm doing. I'm a coyote caller. That's how I want to kill them. I want them to come to me from me calling to them, and come running in hard as they can. It's an exciting hunt.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about tactics, because full disclosure, I've never been predator hunting. I never really had any interest until about maybe 2 years ago. I've always just focused on turkeys and deer, like completely. But recently somebody turned me onto the whole predator hunting thing, so I was like, well, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
So the questions I'm asking are probably very rudimentary, but...
Okay.
So, talking about tactics, do you hunt them at night or do you hunt them during the day?
Well, Kentucky has, they have a night season. Coyotes are in year-round here in Kentucky. You can hunt them year-round. But to hunt them at night, it's a short season. It usually comes in like the 1st of March and just lasts for just a handful of months. Oh. And they've kind of got a restriction on it too. You can only use shotguns at night to hunt coyotes in Kentucky. And so I'm mainly a daytime coyote hunter, and there's nothing wrong with nighttime hunting, but I kind of like to see the animal coming into the call. A lot of times if you're hunting at night with a light, you're shining a red or green or white light, and you're usually picking up eyes. You'll see a set of eyes, and they'll be bouncing, and finally when they get close enough, you can see the full animal, and that's all right. But I like seeing the animal run in itself. That's one of the cool things to me about predator hunting, whether I'm calling coyotes or bobcats or whatever. And plus, we're filming all our hunts, and usually night hunting and filming don't mix real well. So I'm basically a daytime caller for coyotes.
Well, and that was going to be my next question. Like, what do you use at night? Do you use night vision, or
it just seems so complicated. I think night vision is legal here. Of course, you need to go if you're going to come to Kentucky. You need to check up on the regs, because I don't know for sure on that, because I don't do it, but I know a lot of states can use like night vision and stuff. That's getting really big now in the coyote hunting community, but there's still a lot of people that are diehard night hunters. They'll use some type of light, and usually they'll have like a red colored light is really popular for coyote hunting. Then I'd say the next would be a green colored light, and then just your basic white light would be kind of rounded off. Being said, I'm not like I said, I'm not a nighttime hunter, but I have done a little bit of it.
Would you use different tactics at night compared to during the day?
I would say the biggest, as far as different tactics, like probably your sounds that you would use for calling would be the same, but you might have to change just how you set up a little bit, just to make sure animals aren't coming in from behind you and stuff. You want them to come where you'll be able to shine your light. And other than that, that would be about it. A lot of people hunt. I know down in Texas, a lot of people hunt from high rises in trucks where they'll put an elevated type stand in the bed of their truck, and they'll drive out to these big, huge cattle pastures and stuff like that, and they'll get up in these high rises in the back of their truck and get to calling and shining lights. That's big down south, so that is one different tactic that people use in other states. But
so foreign to me.
Yeah, it's I tell you what, predator hunting's got its special place in the hunting industry and in hunters' lives. If you ever try coyote hunting or bobcat, just predator hunting in general, and if you have some success at it, have a coyote or a bobcat, fox or whatever come to a call that you've made or that you've had electronic call do, you pretty much be hooked when you have something run in. I mean, it can be very addicting.
And it seems really challenging because
it is. They're a smart animal. You'll never hunt. I mean, I've hunted everything, not everything, but I've hunted elk in several states, a couple different states. I've hunted mule deer. I've hunted whitetail, black bears, mountain lions. I've done a lot of big game hunting and a lot of small game hunting and stuff, growing up. But probably the most challenging hunting you'll do is trying to call a coyote in. Of course, you've got some dumb coyotes, just like you have these kamikaze coyotes that'll commit suicide, just like somebody turkey hunting. You might call one in that's trying to commit suicide, and you might go for 2 years and not ever call another one.
Right.
And coyotes like it, they're just a smart animal. A lot of people have pets, dogs as pets, and you kind of got to think of them like a dog. A dog is so smart, and their nose is so keen, and they're just a hard animal to outwit.
So what would be the number one tip you would give a new coyote hunter then? So say I called you up and said, John, I'm going to go coyote hunting this weekend by myself. What is the number one tip you would give me?
Probably watch your wind.
Okay.
A coyote, the first thing to do, like I said, I'm a coyote caller. Whenever you start calling to a coyote, especially if it's a coyote that's got a little age to them, the first thing they're thinking is go downwind. They want to circle downwind of the sound so they can smell it. They'd rather smell it first than see it. So, you kind of got to, and that's where it plays in. You got to watch how you set up. It's kind of like turkey hunting and deer hunting wrapped into one. You're calling, plus, you got to worry about them smelling you.
Okay. So why don't you tell us more about you? Like, how did you have such a fascinating career so far. How did you get started in hunting?
Well, I mean, I was raised up hunting. I started shooting at a young age. I've been shooting rifles and shotguns ever since I can remember, pretty much.
Okay.
And started out like a lot of kids do in the East that grew up in a hunting family. Started out hunting small game. Started out squirrel hunting. I always loved to go squirrel hunting and still do to this day. And kind of went into rabbit hunting, bird, quail hunting, stuff like that. Just have always been around it, and it just stuck.
Okay. How did Wired Outdoors come about?
Well, Wired Outdoors is a Pennsylvania-based company, and they're sponsored by Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources. And I think the first year that they were sponsored by Kentucky, they come down in the spring to do a turkey hunt. And I don't think they was having much luck. And I knew a guy in the department that knew they wasn't having much luck and told them that they might be able to get them on some birds down in my area. And of course they hollered at me and asked, the guy asked me, I said, well, John, have you been turkey hunting? It was like the first day of turkey season, a few years ago. And I told him, yeah, we've been hunting. We killed 2. And I've always filmed my hunts. I always loved, filming a hunt and going back later on and watching it. When it's a nasty day, you can always plug your camera into your TV, or you burn a DVD, you can always pop in and watch and just relive the hunt. I've always liked doing that. So we had filmed a couple of hunts that day, and of course that had them sparked up and asked me if I would take the Wired Outdoors crew hunting the second day of turkey season here in Kentucky. So I thought it sounded like a cool opportunity. I told them, come on down. I went the night before and boosted a couple birds up, and the next morning they introduced themselves, and I got them in on a turkey setup just, way before daylight, where I'd roosted a couple birds the night before, and I don't know, hour and a half later, they had 2 toms strut about 12 steps from them, and the rest is history. They offered me a contract just a few days later. So
That's awesome.
And to give a little bit more background on Wired Outdoors, like I said, it's a Pennsylvania-based company, and they used to be on the Sportsman Channel, but it's now all internet-based. They've left the Sportsman Channel. Now they've got a website, wiredoutdoors.com. You can watch all their shows on demand through there. They got a YouTube channel. It's Wired Outdoors TV. And they've also got a free Roku channel, if you're familiar with Roku.
Yeah.
They've got a Roku channel. And then as far as Tooth and Claw TV, after I joined the group, I asked them what all they wanted filmed, and they asked me what all I did, and I told them everything, and also did a lot of coyote hunting. Of course, they said, yeah, film it. And we was doing a lot of coyote shows, so we decided to do a spin-off of it, which is Tooth and Claw TV, and it's 100% predator hunt. Mainly coyotes and bobcats, and we do a little bit of black bear hunting too.
Okay. So. And where can they watch that? Is that on the website as well?
It'll all stream through all the Wired Outdoors networks. It'll be, on the website, wiredoutdoors.com, and Wired Outdoors TV on YouTube, and Wired Outdoors on Roku. And we're also kind of working on, I don't know how quick we'll get it up. We're trying to get a Apple TV channel going and a Samsung Smart TV channel going too, as well, hopefully in the near future.
That's excellent. That is awesome.
Yep, pretty excited about it.
I love how modern technology has given us all these resources. Yeah,
it's pretty cool, and I'm really happy with the internet-based model. It gives us some flexibility. We can put a show out whenever we want to, and another cool thing about it, when the show's over, if you want to watch it again, you just go right back and click on it again and watch it. If you want to watch it next week, the shows are always there.
So tell us your most favorite hunting story. So when you're sitting around the fire having some beers with your buddies, what's the number one story that you tell them?
Oh, man.
So many, I know, right?
Well, there's been plenty, yeah. But, I don't know, Carrie, if I can think one right off the top of my head. But, usually it's the last hunt I've been on, because, we hunt year-round for predators and stuff, and it's like I said, it's usually the last hunt we've been on. All my hunts I think are special. I always enjoy every time I go out. So usually if I'm sitting around and somebody asks about a hunting story, I'm usually just telling them the last hunt we've been on.
That's fine. Lay it on me.
Well, I can go ahead and tell you, we actually just released a video today. It was a double coyote. We killed 2 coyotes, a pair of coyotes, and me and my cameraman. And I actually work a day. I work a day job. I run a bulldozer for a living. And I've been doing that for about 10 hours that day. And cameraman got off work, and he was wanting to go hunting. Called me up, and asked me if I had any coyote stands played out. So I usually get on my phone. I've got a couple apps on my phone, where I can see. A lot of people use these for deer hunting. They put their stand locations in, and they can check how the wind's blowing. I'm sure you probably do the same thing, Carrie. I think there's Scout Look or whatever. I get on that, and I've got all my coyote stands laid out too. So I got on there checking for wind, how the wind directions were for that evening, and I figured out a couple spots we could go to, and we actually went. We had 2 stand locations planned out. And usually when I go call for coyotes, I usually call just 10 to 15 minutes. That's the kind of the beauty of coyote hunting, is you can go to a spot, you can start calling. If you don't see anything in 15 minutes, get up, go to another spot, try to call something else in. So that's one great thing about coyote hunting. We went to our first spot. We called for about 5 minutes. I look over my right shoulder. Here comes a coyote barreling in, right in behind us. It kind of goes down into a dip, and I tell my cameraman, hey, man, we got a coyote coming in hard right behind us. We need to kind of turn around and get set up. We actually got spun around, but the coyote come in directly to our right, was within 5 foot of us. Of course, that's not always the best scenario in the world. We didn't get the coyote killed. It got too close. It seen us, took off the other direction, and we never even got a shot. So it was kind of scrambling, trying to figure out what to do. We made it back to the truck. I said, I got one more stand location we can do. We traveled it quick as we could, and of course it was the last light. On our way in, I spotted 2 coyotes out in a pasture field. We was able to get out there and get set up. I set my call out. We got to calling, and within maybe a minute and 10 seconds, we had two beautiful coyotes come running over the top of the hill right in there to us. I stopped the coyotes and shot the first one at about 80 yards or something like that. As soon as I shot, of course, the second one took off, racing off right directly where it came from. And I was able to swing my rifle on it, lead it a little bit, and shoot it on a run and fold it up too. So it was an exciting hunt. Like I said, if you ever try coyote hunting and have some luck with it, you'll be hooked for life. And as kind of a perfect example of it, I was pretty pumped after that. We got it all on film and actually released a show today on all of our networks. So you get on there and check it out later.
Excellent. Oh, and is that is that from the hunt, the pictures that you posted on Twitter of those two laying there?
Yes,
that looks so
exactly.
Cool. What fun. Well, that is so cool.
Like I said, it may not be the most exciting or best hunt I've ever been on, but like I said, it's usually when somebody wants to hear a story, I usually tell them the freshest one that's in my mind. So
that is cool. It sounds pretty exciting to me.
It is exciting. I think if anybody that ever tries it, anybody that's ever done any kind of hunt for any period of time is running into where a predator has either ruined a hunt or has affected a hunt in some way, whether their deer numbers are down, turkey population's down, or they had deer coming out, or turkey strutting into the call, and all of a sudden a coyote runs after them and Buster's set up, or whatever. Predators affect us all, and they affect all kinds of other game animals, and they actually affect ourselves too. So it's pretty good practice. You got to do some predator control.
Yeah, that's kind of, somebody opened my eyes. They're like, yeah, I'm like, I don't have any interest in it. And they're like, and because my thing was like, I just don't have any interest in shooting anything I can't eat. And he is like, well, right. But they're, affecting things that you do eat. So you can look at it.
A coyote, a good way to look at it is, it's to manage your predators.
Yeah.
They're just like deer or anything else. The state agencies are always managing them, to keep the herds healthy. And the same thing for coyotes. If the coyotes population gets too high, usually Mother Nature steps in and takes care of them. Say mange. The mange, like you see in dogs, that's a big killer to coyotes, especially in high populations of coyotes. And usually what happens, everybody knows what the mange is. It's gets in their skin. They usually start losing hair. It just drives them nuts, itching. It's a skin parasite. Mm-hmm. Usually what happens, time winter rolls around, if you're in a state that has really cold temps, usually what a coyote does is end up freezing to death. It's a long, painful, excruciating death. And I figure a bullet through the lungs from Jon Collins is a lot better than freezing to death by Mother Nature. So I have no problem getting after them. That
is a good point. That's a very good point.
And like I said, they impact a lot of animals. Even when their numbers are healthy, they can really lay waste to a turkey population. They're hard on deer ponds. They're hard on elk ponds. They're hard on everything. Everything out there that's in the wild, they'll feed on. So
little buggers. So what So what do you got coming up this fall? You got anything exciting other than obviously hunting Kentucky?
Well, I actually leave Friday for northeastern Oregon. We'll be black bear hunting. We should be out there for 8 or 9 days, and hopefully we can kill us a couple bears out there. And then I'll be back in Kentucky for about 5 or 6 days, and then me and the owner of Wired Outdoors, Jason Say, will be headed to New Mexico. He's got an elk tag, pretty nice tag for a nice unit, and I'll be filming him on an elk hunt.
That's awesome.
Then got a couple other trips. And later on in October, we'll be heading out to Wyoming and do some coyote hunting and stuff. So got a pretty full fall lined up.
Nice. So you mentioned that you do have a day job. How do you balance, does all your vacation just go to Wired Outdoors?
Well, it's a pretty flexible job. I don't have to really be at it every day. And like you said, if I got any days off, it's usually hunting and filming of some sort. So
well, awesome.
It's not too hard. If I had a regular 40-hour a week or 50-hour a week job, it wasn't very flexible. I wouldn't be able to do it I do, but got a pretty flexible day job.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it because I thoroughly enjoy what you do. So selfishly, I appreciate your job.
Yeah, no problem.
Where can people find out more about you? Like, obviously your website, wiredoutdoors.com.
Yeah.
What about your social media channels?
Well, I've on Twitter and Instagram, I'm, at Jon_Collins3 on both of those. And you can also follow us on our Wired Outdoors Facebook page. Our Wired Outdoors Facebook page actually has over 750,000 followers. So go on there and like the page and see what we're up to.
That's impressive in this day and age.
Yeah, it's a pretty big Facebook page, that's for sure.
That's awesome. Good for you. That's really cool. All right. Well, Jon, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and talk to us about some predator hunting. I cannot wait to go and watch that video because I'm a little fired up right now.
Yeah, get on there and check them out. We've got a lot of videos out. I think we've already put out 7 or 8 through the summer or something like that. And actually going to come out with another one here just the next couple of days. So get on there and check them out. And a lot of them for the last few years. We got about 4 years worth of predator hunting videos on there. So there's everything from coyotes and big bobcats come to the call, and plus some spot and stalk black bear hunting out west.
All right. Well, cool. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time, and something tells me we'll have you back on the show soon.
Well, yeah, anytime. I enjoy talking with you, Carrie. It's fun.
Yeah, totally. And you do such, I don't know, with the whole like out west and stuff. And if you don't mind, maybe we could have you back on in a month or two to talk about your experience out there.
Sure. Yeah. Anytime. Sounds great.
Cool. And that'll do it. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to find the show on iTunes. Just search for HuntFishTravel Podcast. Hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on social media. Just go to huntfishtravel.net and click on the social media icon of your choice. The only one that's not listed there is Periscope. You can always find me on Periscope. Same Twitter handle, @CarrieZilka. Until next time.